Welcome to Matt Streams. This is Live Alive. It's the I think it might be deemed a remaster, or it might be a remake. Let's see if it actually says here. This is, as Jason Graves helpfully pointed out on YouTube, the game that came out, I guess it came out after FF6 and before Chrono Trigger. I don't know if it was, and by the company that made those, Squaresoft, at that time. I don't know if it was directly between those, or if it was like after one but a few before another, or whatever. Yeah, here we go. Okay. 1994-2022 Square Enix Co. Ltd. And it was Squaresoft originally, but then Square merged with Enix. Enix being the Dragon Warrior company, the one sort of like the Yakin or Boaz of a Japanese role-playing game famous series, and then the Final Fantasy would be the Squaresoft, and that's sort of the, you know, the other one of the Yakin or Boaz, Yakim or Boaz, Joaquin Phoenix or Boaz of the JRPGs, basically. So, but this is more the Final Fantasy side, and this is a game I actually bought kind of based on the name of it, if you can believe it. Oh, hold on. Yeah, okay, so this is... the name is very interesting. For a long time, I wasn't quite sure about the name. It's one of those things that, similar to the Malazan series... Hold on. Okay. Similar to the Malazan Book of the Fallen, where it's the city or state in the novel series is Malaz, M-A-L-A-Z, or Malaz. And to properly pronounce Malazan, I think basically you would want to look at the spelling and basically see what would be the pronunciation of Malaz itself, and then you might think that if it was Malaz and if it was Malazan, then with that pronunciation there would be two Z's in Malazan, but there's only one Z. So I'd probably say I think it's probably Malaysian. I think M-A-L-A-Z, it's probably pronounced Malays, and it would make sense because that's like the term for sort of like kind of despairing ennui or something, or suffering ennui or whatever, suffering unsurety, uncertainness, uncertitude. That would be Malaz, or rather that would be Malays, so it would make sense that it's the Malazan Book of the Fallen, and plus the way it's pronounced. If it was pronounced Malazan, I think there would be two Z's. Mike from Mike's Book Reviews often has pronounced it Malazan. I think that's false. Malazan, even spelled like M-A-L-A-Z-A-N, I think that's probably not quite how it would be, but at least that's more M-A-L-A-Z-A-N with only one Z than Malazan or Malazan. With the Zun at the end, I think it would be two Z's, or the Zun. But I think it's probably Malaysian. And I don't think it's Malaysian. I think it's actually Malaysian. So I think... actually, Mike from Mike's Book Review, I think Book Reviews, I think based on the spelling and all that other stuff, I think Mike probably has every single of the three syllables wrong. I think it is Malaysian. I think the author might have even said what it was, but sometimes authors, I don't think, have a good idea of how to pronounce things themselves, which may sound funny, but for example, the Drizzt Do'Urden series, I think Drizzt is spelled Drizzt, or something like that, but I think even the author sometimes will say Dritz, which is not how it's spelled. There are Z's before the T, unless the Z's are silent there. So I think it's Drizzt, not Dritz. Plus it's T at the end, not TS or TZ. So it just wouldn't be Dritz. I think it is Drizzt, and yet I think that author, at least... I think when Mike asked him, interestingly enough, Mike interviewed R.A. Salvatore, and when I think he asked him about the pronunciation, or he kind of mentioned it or did something, or in any case, I think Salvatore in that interview where he was also kind of revealing himself as like sort of a hilariously unknowing wokey, quote unquote. He's like, he's saying like woke stuff as if he was the first one who realized it, and this was like in 2021, and it's like, but I mean like as if he was the first one who realized like that these quote unquote woke things were the way things are, which I wouldn't necessarily say they are, but he was like, oh, like I realized that women are really like put down, and I think women are really put down, but not in the ways like Anton Chigurh voice, not in the sense that you mean, you know. But I think women are really put down these days. But it basically similar to like the idea of like, oh, you know, white people are actually really bad. I don't think he actually said that, but it's as if he said something like that, like something kind of woke like that, and he said it as if like it was a new concept for society, or like he had just realized it at least. Anyway, I think he might say, well, I don't know myself, it's drizz. Sometimes I say drizzed, sometimes I say dritz or something, and it's like, man, there is no S or Z after the T, so it wouldn't be dritz. So if you're saying that, then that just seems to indicate that sometimes authors don't seem to really care about how words would be pronounced, even if they were the ones who supposedly came up with the words in the first place, or a name or something. And, you know, the Michael Malice thing, well, you know, you're welcome. The title is what the title is. I like that Michael Malice thing, because it's you're welcome, but it's Y-O-U-R with no apostrophe before the R-E after it. And he sets that up as a bit of a trap, he says, for the quote-unquote midwits out there, because he's like, well, the title actually is You're Welcome. It is spelled correctly. And not only that, but he uses it in the way that it is spelled. He says, let that be your welcome for today, which would be Y-O-U-R without the apostrophe or the E. But it's sort of like a little trap for people. If they're like, oh, you're spelling it wrong, then he's like, no, actually, that is the spelling of the title, so either way it's correct, because that is the actual title of the show. It's how I spelled it because I made it. But beyond that, he also uses it correctly in a grammatical sense in the way that the title is spelled. And so he gives you a you're welcome where it actually is spelled correctly in that way, as sort of a double bonus to say, hey, I can do you're welcome like this, and it would be spelled that way. Let that be your welcome to grammar, you know, basically. And so it's like, well, so I like Michael Malice on that, but if say that same sort of idea got extended to pronunciations, I would actually well, I mean, technically, I guess you could say it is officially pronounced however you want, and have silent letters or letters that aren't there. Although I think that would be more silent letters, because if it's letters that aren't there but the sounds are there, I don't know if you can say that. I'm not sure if that technically is allowed, even if you wrote the name. It's like, no, that letter's not there, the sound wouldn't be. Like just adding an S or a Z sound maybe after the T, it's like, if the letter's not there, perhaps you can't say that the sound is there and have it be kind of legitimate. But in any case, you know, I would say basically, either way, it seems like the authors kind of don't give a shit sometimes. And so, you know, Malazan, or Malazan probably. However the author pronounces it, I think it is Malazan, or I think it most likely would be. But that's not quite as bad as the Dritz, where they were just missing letters. It's like, at least with Malazan, all the sounds are there for you, and then maybe the author could say, well, it's actually pronounced like this, even though it is a form of Malaz, and that's where I'm getting part of this. It's as if you said America and American. It's Malaz or Malays and then Malazan, right? Or Malazan. And if it is Malazan, again, I think it would be two Z's. So I think that is sort of a clue for how to pronounce Malays itself, with how it's used with that word, with the word. So. Anyway, here we go. So this is the Master Key System. And this book says, finish what you start. This book says basically, well, I mean, it says a shitload. This book's really great, and it's also in the public domain, so I could sit here and read the whole thing. In fact, that might be an interesting stream idea or a YouTube idea. Just read public domain books with video game music playing and shit. I don't know. Anyway, that would probably be like, well, if you're using it like that, then maybe the video game people would have a word with you. But it's like, well, people stream these games and they're allowed to, so I wonder. Anyway. I think realistically it would probably be the way Synth often talks about it, where some game soundtracks do seem to be copyrighted, or some songs do, and some songs don't seem to be copyrighted badly enough anyway, where YouTube will then strike you for it. Even if it is copyrighted, I guess some just are marked as if they aren't. Okay, so this game is very interesting. As I was saying, I got it based on the title, which is... all the pronunciation stuff was kind of leading somewhere here, because the title is Live L-I-V-E. L-I-V-E space A space L-I-V-E. Now, Jason Graves, I mentioned him before. So, he had the information about when this came out and stuff, or he put it into those terms, and so helped me with the context. You know, huge game Chrono Trigger, huge game Final Fantasy VI that came out before Chrono Trigger. This came out between them apparently, or maybe it was kind of made between them, probably overlapping somewhat with the production of it, but who knows. This is like sort of the untold Square classic that actually didn't come out in America until, I think, years later. Maybe even not until this remaster. Maybe there is no official version of the original. And this remaster's or remake is... Oh shit, the clock's going. Oh fuck, we're literally wasting time. Shit. Okay, let's do that. So this game is cool because it's like sort of... It was set up to be kind of the hipster, like the Earthbound, or the Mother, whatever. Sort of like the Earthbound kind of deal, but even better than that, maybe like the Tokimeki Memorial, or whatever game didn't come out kind of deal in United States originally, where it has sort of a big, like, kind of big knowership. People kind of know about it, even if they haven't played it. So it's kind of hip. But basically, this game, I think it's Jason Graves, I don't know, he kind of seems to do the Michael Scott thing of mispronouncing things on purpose and kind of like, fuck you. Just like he says, I think, in maybe the review, which I only watched a little of for Live Alive, or maybe in the Fellowship of the Ring for Super NES review, some review, I think he's like, basically, I pronounce it like this, or like, I do X like this, or this is my favorite, and if you don't like that, then I don't like you, or something. So he has that kind of combative thing, and so I think he might Michael Scott it sometimes and say, like, here is your baguette, even though he previously said barrette correctly. Basically, he might Michael Scott it sometimes, and you don't know if he actually knows the word or if he's just joking. Or if he's just kind of being impetuous or something. But in any case, Jason Graves said he pronounced it Live Alive or something. Or Live Alive. I think he said he pronounced it Live Alive. Which I think you could make a good thematic argument for. But I was thinking of it and I was like, you know what? And maybe after he said that, I was like, you know what? I think it's Live Alive. And so it's sort of funny because it's not quite Live Alive. But I think it might be Live Alive, as if to suggest... basically live the life of a live person. And so what this game gives you, interestingly enough, is like various scenarios. What this game gives you is a selection of various scenarios that you, I guess, to beat the game, you have to do all of them, and then they come together somehow at the end, maybe. But you can pick them in any order, like sort of Mega Man levels in some games anyway. You can pick them in any order. And so here's like a Wild West one. They have different like settings and stuff. But the interesting thing is with the title, and especially with what I've seen so far with this Wild West thing, and that's where we're getting to this maybe in a little bit. With the title, it seems to be saying you are living the life of a live person. Like, you are not one of the dead. You are not Anthrax Among the Living, where you're one of the gray people among the one living person in the album cover picture. No, you seem to be. You seem to be one of the actual live people. You are not one of the occult, mocked dead people, where you're kind of just maybe programmed and you're so crippled with fear and shit, like Fear is the Mind Killer Dune kind of stuff, and also Sir Radzig saying something similar in Kingdom Come Deliverance. By the way, Sir Radzig of Kabbalah. Are you fucking kidding me? Kabbalah, K-O-B-Y-L-A, but as Henry pronounces it, your main character, Kabbalah. like Kabbalah, for instance. Sir Radzig of Kabbalah, similar to in the second game, they said Hermes Trismegistus. They mentioned that name when a certain character was talking about certain cabals with a J, a capitalized J in the adjective of cabals. He literally says that. I think cabals plural, or maybe cabal singular. He literally mentions that, like him studying from one of those, and like I'm not saying it, he is, the character is in the second game. Check it out yourself. I have a screenshot if you don't believe me. Probably can't even show it to you though, because whatever. Anyway, because it was like somebody else's stream. Anyway, and I don't have the game. Anyway, he has you making, he says he has you making a golem for him, and he tells you about there's true alchemy and false alchemy, and there's a guy named Ignatius that helps you, or like is part of the quest as well, although he's not associated necessarily with the other guy. Ignatius, like Ignatius, Saint Ignatius of Loyola, maybe, similar to that. And then there's another Ignatius a little later in that same game, and he's either a goat or a ram or something. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Two Ignatii in one game, two Ignatiuses? Are you fucking kidding me? In a game where they mentioned true alchemy and Hermes Trismegistus and making golems in the same fucking quest line, the same fucking guy wearing fucking robes, and he says he learned his shit from a J Cabal. Are you fucking kidding me, man? Guys, mans, anyway, this is crazy shit. And so in this game, though, I think it might be a similar level of occultism where it's like, live alive. No, don't be one of the dead, live alive. And so in this part, so far, I have been interacting with some townspeople in a little, like, you know, put upon Wild West town, quote unquote. By the way, Wild West is the 666. World Wide Web is the 666 in Judaic Gematria, I think. And so it would be 66 for the Wild West, and then the new Wild West was the internet, and that would be 666. What was the first W? Just 6? Maybe it would be like the wilderness or the wild just in general. But in any case, defenseless frog. I guess I'm defenseless against your comments, man. I hope that your algorithm stops bothering people with these things, but I will report you to Twitch, and I don't think it's going to work because I've reported people endless fucking names repeating probably the same exact text of that kind of stream boo thing, except maybe with a different at thing. Yeah, so you don't get off of my... but the thing is, these people come on and off so fast, or these algorithms or programs do, that it still says 0 for the people in the chat, because either they came on and went off so fast when leaving that comment that my PlayStation didn't detect it as even a person, or perhaps they never came on the stream at all and somehow left that comment anyway, and so it didn't detect it as a person here, even though they left a comment. How do you have one comment with nobody leaving a comment? This is like a non-duality stream. Welcome to Matt's streams. So I'm glad I restarted it because I don't have that stream boot comment there anymore, without having to, you know, otherwise get it off by covering over with my own comments, whatever, probably saying LGOE period, let go of everything. But anyway, ironically, I did not do what I said, or I was indicating that we were going to get to, which is talking about the Master Key System, because this book, which seems to me to be sort of what Charles Galton Darwin said couldn't be done in the next million years. I think this is sort of an educational system. Basically, this is education to be a master. Like, and using Charles Galton Darwin's terminology, I think even, master. To be a master, Galton Darwin in that book said, like, you can't train a master to be a master because the master is like the leader. So if you're if you're telling the leader how to lead, then it's basically them following your lead, and so they're no longer a leader. I think this book, though, it sort of teaches you how to be a master. And one of the things it says, and I'll read you the actual thing, because, again, I think it is in the public domain. I think it's in part 1 as well. I think it might be number 12. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's a little later. But I'll read you the actual thing. Oh, maybe I have it marked here. This book, basically, one of the many pieces of incredible wisdom that this book, which again may teach you, maybe in a dark occultist kind of way. I'm not saying it's good. This is the Master Key Society. It seems occultist fucking shit. This is like New Thought shit, whatever. But I think this book is sort of a good way to like kind of be your own man. Maybe in a dark, maybe not a beneficial way to you in a certain sense, but it might be. But in any case, if you wanted to become like an occult master, like a master type personality, like again Galton Darwin was talking about, about in the Next Million Years book, then perhaps this would help you do that. And so they have a bunch of advice. It's sort of like a 22-week correspondence program originally, I guess, quote unquote. They sent letters out about it. But basically, what it says is do not. In fact, let me look it up on my Substack where I have some indication of it. Basically, it says if you start something, or if you intend to, basically, if you start something, or you basically start something with the intention that you're going to finish it, or you promise to do something or whatever, then you should indeed finish it, because otherwise, on some psychological level, basically you're kind of teaching yourself or teaching your subconscious, as they might put it, or something, or they have various words for this stuff, I guess. But in any case, and they're like, if you want to look at it like this, okay. If you want to look at it like that, okay, I think. But basically, this is how this shit works. They say, don't not do something that you say you're going to do, because if you don't, then you start to train yourself that what you say you're going to do is not going to happen. And then maybe your subconscious helps you out less, or basically it doesn't put a lot of importance on what you say, and thus it's harder to maybe, it becomes more difficult, maybe an experience to follow through with things, or maybe even some sense of law of attraction, it sort of makes it more difficult for that to work out easily. And so what I'm saying here is that it is a game that I started last night, and then I was thinking, well, I felt like I didn't get off to a very good start with it. I felt kind of beleaguered with some kind of last night I started out I had just taken a bath, and I was ready to play this, and I was ooh, this is gonna be nice, and I'm not even gonna stream it, I'm just playing it, and I was something was saying kind of I had some idea of maybe you should stream it, and it was it may not be streamed, and then I was playing it, and it was oh, and then there was an interruption, and then it was oh, and everything, and it was so I didn't get that far. But I was thinking today, well, maybe I can just restart it. Maybe I can even leave this west segment for the end, because it seems to maybe be the last one on the list if you're going from left to right, even though it sort of just circles around, which is interesting when you pick your scenario in this game. But anyway, it is a game that I started playing, and then I was you know what, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just start a different scenario for the stream if I do a stream of it or for it. Maybe it should be something well, it is something I started, but maybe I'll restart it or something. But then I was thinking, Master Key System, they said something if you start something, you better fucking well finish it. Okay, yep, there you go. 12, in part 4 of the Master Key System. 12. Unless you do this, you had better not start at all, because modern psychology tells us that when we start something and do not complete it, or make a resolution and do not keep it, we are forming the habit of failure. Absolute ignominious failure. If you do not intend to do a thing, do not start. If you start, see it through, even if the heavens fall. If you make up your mind to do something, do it. Let nothing, no one, interfere. The I in you has determined, I quote unquote there, the thing is settled. Here. The die is cast. There is no longer any argument.